I used to joke around saying that, okay, I have to date the accountant because I couldn't afford to pay one.
One of my friends actually did that.
So this is the extent agents will go to
Yeah.
to save money.
Exactly.
When you're thinking about it and somebody's like telling you how to save money, accountants are really valuable. I used to joke around saying that, okay, I have to date the accountant because I couldn't afford to pay one. Right?
Yo, one of my friends actually did that.
Yeah, actually dated.
She still he still sends all his taxes to the ex-girlfriend to do it.
See, we can make jokes here and say, oh yeah, this is the extent agents will go to save money.
Exactly.
Did you ever go to HR Block? H&R Block?
No. Is that another
It's
program?
a service, but I found out, you know what, actually it's funny because I found out after doing my taxes with them, they cost like $100 to file, but they literally do nothing for you. They just file whatever you tell them and that's it. And they don't say
But you gotta
anything.
give like your information, right?
Yeah, they might ask you a few questions, but they'll file it. They don't care to save you any money. They're not even, I don't think they're even accountants.
I need to save some money this year. Self-employed tax get crazy. Like,
yeah,
I don't know the different percentage. I think it was like close to 40 if you earn more than 100. Tax a lot more. I don't know the percentage.
It's a little bit different, but there are different things that you can take into consideration. This is why you got to talk to Jolly. That's why you need to talk to the accountant.
I know, yeah. Jolly's great. Like, I feel like people actually do need to talk to an accountant. Like, a lot of people ask me about tax questions and they're like, should I go to a lawyer? Like, my clients are literally like, should I go to a lawyer or like, should I ask you? Like, I'm not eligible to like give you like financial advices. Like, you should talk to your accountant.
Yeah.
That's what we should talk. Like, a lot of people talk about money. They don't go to the accountant first. It's weird.
I know. And it's funny because they ask other people in different lines of work. Like, you as a realtor, I bet people are asking you the question of, hey, so like, if I do this, what are the tax implications here? And it's just like, bro, you're asking me questions that I really shouldn't be asking.
Yeah. No, I can give suggestions. I can give you like the basic things like when you buy new builds, like there's HST on it, right? Like things like that. But like when you get into like it depends on your income, right? Like you got to talk to your accountant.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, that was one of the things. One of the guys so one of the students who's flipping a house with us, he was asking me the exact question. He's like, should I do a long flip versus a short flip? Because right now with the anti-house flipping taxes, it's almost more worth it for him to just do a longer, bigger hold in a property that he can declare his personal residence, move into, and flip it. Because if you're going to make $200,000, you're going to pay like $100,000 in taxes, right?
50% of it.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy if you think about it, because that on top of that is being added to your regular income. So if you're making 100, you make 200, you're at $200,000 income, you're getting taxed, what, $80,000 is a lot of money.
So one of the things that I always advise my clients, if they're going to be flipping houses professionally or for full time, then I always tell them to consider setting up corporation and flip houses through the corporation name. That way, all your income or all your revenue from flipping houses classify as an active business income.
This is something where with the anti-house flipping tax that they recently imposed, it doesn't affect the professional flippers as much because they're classifying it as the business income anyway because of where it falls under. Because this stuff only covers people who put properties under their personal names and hold it for less than 365 days. So that is a very good point. Have you been doing any write-offs?
Obviously, the basic things like write off your home office, clients, gifts.
Yeah, you know, sometimes people are just like, "Oh, this agent is so thoughtful." It's like, nah, we're just writing things off.
We're just gonna write. No. Like, I actually thought about all the gifts I want to give my clients. Like during the conversation, they just talk about things that they enjoy to do, right? Like, and that's how I pick the houses for them. Handpicking the closing gift, like clients give, it's super important.
Have you set up PREC?
Yes.
What's it for? And actually, what does PREC stand for?
PREC stands for Personal Real Estate Corporation. So it's basically a separate legal entity from yourself. So you get all the benefits that you get from owning a corporation. Like you running a business, you also have a corporation, so you get all the tax benefits. Mm-hmm. So for example, corporation tax is different from personal tax.
Yeah.
Right. Corporation tax, I think income bracket is from 11% to somewhat to like 26%. Personal income tax is a whole different brackets from I think 30% to all the way to 55%. So if you're able to keep your commission that's paid to you, you can keep those income in the corporation and then you can defer those taxes.
Sometimes realtors get confused about setting this stuff up because a lot of people, what they think about when they think about registering a corporation for being a realtor is they'll take their name and they'll register that as a corporation so that they can run things through there, right? But that's different.
For a corporation, you can also label your name onto the corporation so that you can say Roland Shu Realty, or you can have your branding too. Some people just use the number company. That works too. So whatever you prefer, obviously with that branding, it's much better. it's better marketing for your business.
After setting this up, what are some things that you can write off?
So the things that you can write off, it's pretty much the same thing as what you can do for a self-employed realtor, but there are two more additional benefits. So the first one is you can do what's called income sprinkling.
Income sprinkling. Like a
Income
sprinkler.
It's like sprinkling or income splitting. Your corporation can pay someone else who's not a realtor income. That way, you have a lot more flexibility on how much income or revenue you have to file that year.
This is where a lot of people start thinking about how to employ people in like their families or anything like that for simple things, which, in practice, like when people are starting out, people often do pay family members, spouses to help out with administration and any of that stuff. They don't just do it because they love you. Sometimes they also need to get paid.
Obviously, like my girlfriend helps me to do bookkeeping, so I have to compensate her time, right? So it only makes sense for me to pay her.
Yeah, and I think actually this is worth mentioning for those listening that there comes a point where things seem unreasonable. I know that sometimes when we talk about real estate taxes, you have to always do things that are reasonable within the scope of what you're doing. Like, for example, if your girlfriend's helping you with the bookkeeping, you maybe cannot reasonably pay her $150,000 to shift your income over there in those taxes, right?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
So you have to do things within reason. So that's a good benefit, though, that people can be aware of, for little savings here and there.
Yeah, 100%. And there's one more benefits that was a big reason for me to register for PREC, which is shareholder loan. Borrow money from a company, but you just have to pay it back in the future. And this is something that you should disclose to your accountant so they can take in all the information for you and then file accordingly.
Let's talk about Realtor's Power Team, because, after you're doing this for a little while, you want to make sure to have people helping you cover this operation. So
100%.
What would you describe as the Realtor Power Team?
First and foremost, administrator, handle all your paperworks. You have your virtual assistants, your inside sales agent, and then buyer's agent.
What do some of these people do? Because that's like a lot of people that you have to have as part of your team. So what do they handle?
Yeah, so admin, like you said, they handle all my paperworks, coordinate the lawyers, sending off closing documents. Virtual assistant handle all my marketing materials and posting them.
The virtual assistant will do the social media stuff. And your administrator, are they always going to be local or are they ever remote?
For your power team, I'll recommend you hire mostly local people because of the communication time. A lot of times, VAs are great, but they took longer to reply you.
Well, there's a time difference with most of them too, right? So that ends up coming to play. But also there's training, right? Because is the admin that you would hire as a realtor assistant needing to be highly specialized, or is it like pretty easy stuff to train?
Doesn't have to be specialized, but it will be really beneficial if it's he or she is in your time zone and you can communicate without any delays, right?
Yeah.
Because sometimes if you have to draft an offer, which is pretty urgent, like we'll do a showing on a Saturday afternoon and they have to draft an offer at night, people that's different time zone may not be available.
Yeah.
Right. So having that.
No, there's a lot of things that end up being urgent, like corrections that need to be made. And a lot of realtors are on the road a lot. They don't always in situations where they can easily access a computer. And honestly, when you're getting really good at sales, sometimes having to do the administration really sucks.
100%.
Right. So you want to have somebody to help you out with
paperwork.
There you go. Yeah. Exactly.
Next comes this inside sales agent who helps you warm up your leads that comes through the funnel. Make sure that these buyers or seller are interested and they're not here to waste your time.
But this now starts adding up to a lot of people. Like you already listed social media person, you listed administrator, and now you have an inside sales agent. And it's like, are any of these roles interconnected or can you merge some of these things?
100%. Yeah. So like for a lot of people that admin slowly transition into inside sales because often reach out to your clients on behalf of you to collect documents and then they build that report already, right? A lot of inside sales agents slowly becomes buyer's agent eventually or a listing agent. So it definitely people inside the team progress as you grow.
And these are all, I think, really important things to know because even as it pertains to taxes, as you pay these people, if you pay them on the books, don't pay them cash, pay them on the books.
100%.
And then you can write these things off with your taxes, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, because these are all business expenses.
100%.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. One of the things that I was wondering about, since we were talking about cars and write-offs, I know that when it came to upgrading vehicles, taxes were a big reason why I was incentivized to buy a new vehicle. But I know for realtors, there's a lot more pressure to buy a nicer vehicle when it comes to, one, being able to take your clients around, the appearance of it, the image, and like on top of that, there are also tax write-offs, right? So I know you bought a Tesla. What was the reasoning behind that?
Of what you just said. Although I really don't like it, but there is an image.
You don't like it? The Tesla, you don't like it?
I love the Tesla. Okay. Don't get me wrong. But like, actually, there's some like small stuff we can talk about. Everyone just kind of projected realtor needs to have a look. Cars is the first thing people see. Like for really important first impression. People are just superficial, I guess.
No, it matters, and I think if you're driving people around, it matters too. Do you drive a lot of people around these days?
I don't drive a lot nowadays. Like not a lot of realtors drive around their clients. Sometimes like I don't even see the clients. Yeah, because like, if it's investor, I just go in, do a walkthrough video, talk about the things that you need to look for, and then send them the videos. They don't even see the properties maybe until like.
So they don't even see your car then.
They don't even see like, but like sometimes like if it's home buyers, they do. They do.
Okay.
Like they tour the houses with me, right?
Okay, yeah. But they don't ride in the car with you.
I rarely drives them around nowadays.
Yeah.
No specific reasons. It's just like
I think that is actually mostly due to COVID. Ever since COVID happened,
You
people
might be
started
right.
being
Yes.
people started not doing that.
Yeah.
Because I remember when I was shopping for houses, the realtor would say, "Yeah, I'll pick you up and
Yeah.
we'll do this route." It was easier.
Yeah,
to
it's
do it that
probably
way?
easier too because like you get to talk to the clients on the car, right? And
Build
you don't
rapport,
miss
figure
them.
out what it is that they need
Exactly.
to, and
Yeah,
talk
yeah.
about the property right after you see it while it's still fresh. So you decided to do a Tesla. Was there any particular reason that was like good for it?
You drive a lot as a realtor, save massive on gas price, and it's cool.
That is cool.
It's like
What would have been the runner-up if you didn't buy the Tesla? What would have been the next choice? Was it electric for
Ooh.
sure?
It was electric for sure. So really, there is no hesitation. Like there's no choices. It was just like, and I always wanted a Tesla even before I was a realtor.
It is pretty novel, but you said there's a couple of things you don't like about it. What do you not like about it?
The
Let's
range.
bash on the Tesla Model 3 now.
Yeah. Like the range is not exactly what they say.
What do they say?
460 on the basics,
Yeah.
and then the long range is 520.
Yeah.
Is
What'd
that
you
right?
get?
The basic one. During winter, especially,
Yeah.
you only get to drive around like maybe 350, 370 top.
No, that's for sure. Actually, honestly, I've had it as bad in mine as low as like 270 kilometers on like really
That's
cold
crazy.
days.
Yeah.
Yeah, 270 kilometers.
That's messed
which,
up.
technically speaking, though, it's enough for all your regular stuff. Like you gotta, even if you gotta drive from, freaking Ancaster, Toronto,
Yeah.
and back, you're doing that no problem.
You can on like a full charge car. That's another thing, like charging, right? You gotta plan your routes. From Hamilton to Toronto, there's 3 chargers, like supercharge stations in between. So you gotta really plan it. Like you're stuck somewhere, then you're kind of screwed. Like you gotta like go off all the way out of 403 to find
Yeah.
a supercharge station.
This is with Tesla overall, like some of the inconveniences. But you know what? All the other electric cars have it even worse.
That's true. I never thought about that. Yeah.
Because that's actually one of the biggest complaints I think that I hear other people say is that with other cars, the harder time actually charging remotely, in different locations than Tesla.
Yeah.
At least Tesla has the proprietary stuff. I've heard of people having to line up for Tesla chargers. I've never actually had to line up. So.
I had to a couple times.
Where?
Yeah. Aaron Mills, Winston Churchill, like the Mississauga. Closer you get to Toronto, the more people has Tesla. Like
It's not just more people have Tesla. You know what? Actually, I couldn't believe it. I thought everybody who bought a Tesla had a house with a garage. A lot of these guys are buying Teslas and they're relying solely on the superchargers.
yeah.
You're not maximizing on the savings of buying a Tesla
100%.
at all.
Yeah.
Right? Some people think
Yeah.
that Teslas are very expensive, but actually, I don't know if I've ever mentioned this to you, but the reason why I got the Tesla was actually after watching a video, I think that Cherry made with Erwin there from iWin, about how real estate investors can buy Tesla and take advantage of all the write-offs.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, our accountant was just like, okay, looks at our books. I think it's time for you to buy like a vehicle. You should buy Tesla. And if you really consider all the things that you save on and the write-offs, gas alone, think about it. On my gas car, I think I spend like $400 a month easy. At home, it only costs me $50 a month.
Yeah,
right?
that's crazy.
It's nothing, right?
Yeah.
So now they also raised the price of the charging stations, and it's like 25,
they did. I didn't
30
even-
bucks a charge.
Because I always charge at home, so I didn't notice the price.
Yeah, no,
drop.
exactly,
Yeah.
right? But a lot of these guys in Mississauga live in condos, and they bought the Tesla anyway, and they have to go to these charging stations.
Yeah.
And that to me is crazy, right? Because the Tesla will charge pretty quickly
Yeah.
if you just only want to charge it a few percent, enough to get you home.
Yeah.
But if you have to go from like 10% to 100%, you're waiting there for an hour.
Yeah.
Do you regret that part of the car or no?
It's harder to manage. Like if you're driving it to a cottage, say like Collingwood or something, you probably need to switch to a gas car. Like so that's the inconvenient part, right?
Yeah.
Like there's no supercharge station up north.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time it works fine. Like most of the time I'm in GTA. I would say like 90% of the time.
Mhm.
It's only when I need to travel. Another thing I didn't like about Tesla is insurance. Like insurance is super high compared to all the other gas car because there's the monopoly on there, right? Like only Tesla make their parts. It's a lot more expensive to exchange them or fix them, so it's the insurance a lot higher.
If it wasn't Tesla, then what was the runner-up choice?
I think it was Polestar.
That car
Polestar.
looks cool.
It looks sick,
Yeah.
right? I just never look into the specs. I don't know how often I have to charge it, how long I can drive it. But it's the exterior that really attracted me.
The interesting thing about Tesla that I find is that it does have an interesting perception when it comes to status. I mean, you do have people that either love it or hate it when it comes to, but people who hate it, I feel like they just generally hate electric cars in general. So it's like, whatever. It does have something. And it's not that Tesla is the most amazing car. It doesn't mean that. It's not even like the most high status car or anything, but it is interesting how people perceive it as almost like an accomplishment. You know, I bought several cars throughout my life and no one's ever said, oh, congratulations on buying this car that you bought. But for the Tesla, for some reason, people said that to me and I'm just like, it's just a car.
It kind of upholds an image that seems like you're doing pretty well.
When you're trying to build your brand as a realtor, when you're trying to create an image, I think these things do come into play and they are important.
Yes.
Electric is definitely, I think, a sensible choice for realtors, especially considering how often you have to drive around. What were you driving before the Tesla?
Oh, it's a Mazda 3.
Do you find that now people look at you a little bit differently?
100%.
In a good way or a bad way?
I don't know, but the comments are positive
Yeah.
for sure. But like, I just don't know what they're thinking.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
like are they thinking about like, oh, this guy's showing off now? Like,
Yeah. Or this guy, oh, this guy's making all kinds of money.
Yeah, exactly. Or like, whenever I see my clients, they're like, oh, that's where my commission goes.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the most common I get. Like,
There's two trains of thought when it comes to that, right? Because one is like you don't want somebody to feel like, oh, they're paying too much for you, but at the same time, you also want to make sure that people understand that you command a certain level of worth when it comes to
Yes.
your services,
Yes.
right? Because you have these things because you are worth this and you deliver
Yep.
the service, right?
Yep.
Especially when it comes to things like even just negotiating. I was always worried about the car image when it came to negotiations because depending on where you it is that you're shopping, right? Like imagine if
Yes.
you're shopping on Facebook Marketplace and then
100%.
you go and haggle somebody down and you show up in a Tesla.
it does not help your case.
No, especially
Yeah.
if you're just haggling to practice and haggling real estate because the principles are the same.
Yes.
Right. So I don't know if that like helps a lot or not, but at least it doesn't make a difference when you roll up to somebody's house and then you're looking to buy.
No, but it gives your clients a confidence, right? Like this guy seems like he's doing well. Like
it means you've had success and you
Yes.
should have success with them too.
100%.
Yeah, so I think
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
the whole point with it. But I definitely notice that there is a difference in the perception, and when it comes to also your ability to haggle, I feel like depending on the situation you're in, it helps, and sometimes it doesn't.
I do switch cars when I'm meeting tenants. I
Yeah.
switch to a Mazda.
Oh, that's smart.
It's a better image. I don't know how to describe it, but like it just feels like you're not showing off as much.
Yeah, they're
and-
not going to be like, oh, this douche. These things, I feel like they matter so much. When I was working in construction, my dad used to tell me that you don't want to look like you're doing so much better than the person who's paying you. At the same time, I think there is an argument to be had, or maybe the idea is that you shouldn't be looking so much above that you're disconnected, right? It's okay to have something that says this, but that's the thing, and this is where I agree with what you said in the beginning. Like it's kind of unfortunate that this is just the way it is.
Yeah.
Right. Like
It
cars
is.
represent these things, and
Yeah.
people view these things as tokens of success.
Yep.
I feel like some of the things that people do want to know, people who are getting into real estate or want to become realtors, they ought to be thinking about when they start making those commissions, where does that money go, and how should they be spending their money through their corporation so that they can write things off and save so that they don't pay as much in taxes, because it's pretty easy off of a few commissions to hit $100,000 and be in a pretty high tax bracket, and you don't want to be paying close to $30,000 in taxes, right? So what are some things that you can be buying for your business purposes that you can be writing off?
Clients give is one thing. Like actually,
Yeah.
At the same time, like you want
It's like a marketing thing.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So spend it
exactly.
there.
Like ads. I know people are buying leads, car expenses. That goes for pretty much like all the self-employees and then like corporations.
If you don't have electric, you can write off your gas.
Yeah, but you just have to record your mileage and then keep all the receipt. I mean, like you always have to keep your own receipt.
I know people get pretty technical with that, and there's a lot of guys who don't, and then at the end of it, they're just like, yeah, roughly this, roughly that, and then it just becomes a whole mess, right? But yeah, if you can get into some habit of documenting, there's actually apps for this that'll help with it.
Yeah. I've been using 4 receipts.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
There you go.
So
Perfect.
that's the one that I've been using ever since I become a self-employed. I've been tracking, like taking photos of the receipts. It's a great app. Like it will just record the HSD and the total price. It will separate it for you, so you don't have to like manually calculate it. Just take a photo. That's it.
Easy.
Upload it.
Okay.
Get on that habit. Super important. You can figure out what you can write off, what you cannot afterwards. Like literally, like just compile it, send it to your accountant. That's why your accountant is there, right? Send all the stuff to them and then let them figure it out and tell you what you can write off.
Yeah. Actually, that's a much better way to go about it. One of the other guys I know who is a pretty new realtor, he managed to do, I think, 6 transactions his first year. He had a pretty good network and he made all kinds of money and he was trying to figure out what he can write off. So he set everything up, but then he just did his own taxes. He didn't give it to a CA, a CPA, or anybody. He just did his own, and he might have used something like TurboTax. I don't know. But he says he did his own, and I'm like, okay, what did you write off? He's like, everything. And I'm just like, how do you know where you can start and where you can stop? He's like, I don't. And I'm like, how did you write things off? He's like, I figure if I just write off everything at all, then if there's any problem with it, the CRA will tell me and they'll just correct it, right? I don't have to hire an accountant. They'll just correct it for me.
I don't know if it works that way.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know. That's some gutsy stuff. But I mean, a lot of it I found it comes to definition and intent and how you can categorize things, because sometimes people also think you can categorize things a certain way according to the rules and then find out that they can't substantiate, they can't support it. The CRA tells you can't do this anyway, even though it was actually the truth. It's kind of like if you did actually do that mileage in your car, but you just have no way to prove it, then it might not fly, right? So it really is about what you can substantiate, what you can define. Okay, anything else that you think you can write off?
I heard a lot of people write off like their vacations, travels. As a real estate investor, right? If you're full-time real estate investors, you can travel and then write them off because you can tell them that you're going there to look at real estate. Like you're looking to invest in different countries.
Yeah, and I know some people actually, and this is where I think it starts to get really gray with how they go about writing things off. For example, there's some people I know, they say that they write off all their meals, and I ask them, like, how do you go about doing that? And it says, oh, well, as long as we're going out for dinner and we mention real estate, it's considered work.
Yeah.
So therefore you can write it off.
Yeah.
So people will write off food, people will write off anything to do with a car, people write off a lot of marketing stuff.
Yep.
One guy told me that they do write off clothes. I don't know how they go about doing that.
Marketing.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Maybe it
like
goes into
you
marketing.
get like a really expensive suit for a promotion video.
Yeah.
That's marketing.
Exactly. So, and this is where I hear some realtors tell me that their entire salary, the vast majority of it every year, they write off a lot of it and they pay very little in taxes, which I think maybe there comes a point where some stuff doesn't seem reasonable anymore, but there is probably a period when you're getting started that a lot of expenses are reasonable to have.
You should
We're
still
not accountants.
exactly. But at that point is like you should still spend the money that you need to spend, not the things that you spend just to write off.
And I think the whole thing that people just need to realize is that if you are working as a realtor and you have this advantage where you can now run things through your corporation, spend the money through the corporation on things that you need first, so you can expense them and then pay the taxes on whatever is left over.
Yeah,
That would be the way.